Hello, I'm Paul Prine, retired chief of police with Mobile, 30-year decorated law enforcement officer, and recently retired 2.5 years as the police chief for the city of Mobile.
Hey, my name's Joey Mason, owner of Mason Hills Farm. I'm right here at our farm store in Mason Hills. And what I wanted to tell you is, as we get into the political season again for the race for Mobile, I'm not endorsing any candidate. I'm simply giving people a platform to ask some questions and to get their message out. And so if you have some questions you'd like me to ask, please email them to us, put them in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the love and support. And how cool is it that we get to interview some politicians, a country boy right here in Mobile County. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming.
You bet. Thanks for the invite,
Yes,
brother.
sir. And I've heard a lot about you. I've recently just met you. And yeah, it's going to be a really good interview, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm excited to run for mayor and feel like that I bring a lot to the table, and looking forward to answering the questions.
Yes, sir. And so before we get started, we have steak butter. This is some of our seasoning that people really go for.
Yeah.
And we just want to give you some for thanking you for coming.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. More importantly, my wife's going to appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
So thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. So why give me a little bit of background. You said that you have about 30 years of experience in law enforcement, and then you became the chief of police for a few years. Why'd you get into law enforcement?
You know, I'll be honest with you. As a kid, I grew up poor, grew up in Alabama Village over in Pritchard. That's been my lifelong story. I've seen a lot of injustices growing up in the height of the crack pandemic in Pritchard. I've always been the guy that wasn't a bully, but I always wasn't the one that got bullied on, and I always found myself kind of taking up for those that couldn't take it up for themselves. And so as I grew up and kind of got into the workforce, I joined the Mobile Police Department to do that very thing, and that was to help those that couldn't help themselves.
Yeah, and so you, in the last 30 years, have you seen it change a lot? Have some things changed in the city that really kind of want you, like you want to be the mayor now?
Yeah, so over the last 30 years, certainly 27 years of my career with the city of Mobile, there has been a lot change, whether it comes to affordable housing, certainly with the crime rate and how you view and look at the crime rate. And certainly most recently as the chief of police, I was very effective at reducing the crime rate. In 2023 specifically, 23.5% at the end of 2023, which was the largest single year in crime reduction since 1988. Now, I'd like to take credit for that, Joey, but the truth is we had a great solid plan, and we gave that to the most trusted staff members of the department. They bought into it, and they really pushed it. We were very successful in doing that.
Yeah, so as a law enforcement, you had a really good career, it seems, and but why be the mayor now?
Well, so obviously, without getting into it, you know, last year was what I call the saga of Mobile, and that was some disagreements between me and the current administration. And we were on track to continue to reduce that crime. And as I have seen things, things need to change. And for me, overall integrity and character and good governance is so important. Nothing affects us more than local government. It's not the state, it's not the county, it's certainly not the federal government. And understanding now what I've seen, understanding what I feel is a lot of what appears to be impropriety with contracts and money, those things are so important for us to get involved to ensure that we're being efficient and effective and being good stewards of the people's money. And Paul Prine can do that.
And I'm kind of new to politics. You know, I'm a younger guy. Some people say I'm a little older. Some of the new generations like, look at that old guy.
Right,
you know? And but what does a mayor do?
So the mayor obviously is the CEO of the city. The mayor is responsible for ensuring that the administration portion of the city, the employees and spending money on contracts that are needed to push and propel the city forward is so important that the mayor's responsibility is to ensure that government is efficient and certainly effective. The mayor should also provide insight to what that looks like for the vision of Mobile, and so that all the citizens of Mobile can buy into that vision and collectively work with local, county, and state leaders to be able to do the things that we want to do, bringing everybody to the table.
Well, and bringing everybody to the table, Mobile's been really big on big business. We got shipbuilders, we have all kind of different big industries
Right.
that have come under this administration, and I think that they've done a really good job at that.
Right.
But as I own a small business in the city of Mobile, and I own a small business in the county portion,
Yeah.
what I've seen is that there's not been resources for small businesses.
Right.
There's not been very much support for small business, and I think that Mobile, small business makes up the largest workforce in all of the country, doesn't it?
Right.
And so there's more people that work for small business than anybody else. And
Yeah.
and so what do you want to do? What do you see in helping? Maybe not even helping us, but there's a lot of red tape. It takes you God knows how long to build anything here. What are some of the things that you can do to help small businesses out or deregulate some of the things?
Joey, excellent point. I'm glad you said that. I think with this current administration, they have done a great job with economic growth and development, but there's always more work to do. That economic development and growth is not just with large scale corporations, but more importantly with small businesses. And while I've been the police chief and been a cop for 30 years, certainly over the last 4 to 6 weeks, I have heard nightmares about the permitting process, urban zoning process, not being really friendly, whether it's dealing with personnel and city government, or trying to ensure that the city is going out of their way to make sure that you as a small business owner is effective, right? We are all prosperous from the greatest to the least when everybody has an equal and equitable opportunity to be able to come forward and thrive and succeed. It's important that I say this, the difference between you running this fantastic farm out here, and you have done a fantastic job. Let me just tell you that. But the difference between you and the CEO of the city, you have to learn to deal with the external and the internal factors to make money, to turn revenue. City government, any government does not do that. The only thing they do is collect revenue from people like you, from taxpayers, and be a good steward of that money to make sure that the money is being used properly, efficiently, and effectively. And the only way we can do that is help the small business people thrive, and then Mobile becomes really successful.
Well, that was a good segue into what are some things that you can do to kind of make Mobile city government a little smaller and deregulate some of these things so that it runs more efficient?
Listen, I'll be the first one to go on the record and say the staff of the current administration has ballooned and blossomed, and I believe in small government. I believe that government officials have to do more with less, and my commitment to Mobile is certainly to cut those positions that are wasteful, that are not necessarily needed, but keep those positions that are mandated and mandatory to be able to be effective and efficient for the city. Also going and ensuring that when we get contracts from vendors that do business with the city, that we allow the capitalistic market to work, the proper bidding process to work, because ultimately that's what drives down cost. And I think the city does a great job. However, I say that we are always a force multiplier when we work together and we bring those costs low.
You know, there's a lot of people that work in Mobile,
Right.
the city. There's a lot of people that work in Mobile County, but they live in Baldwin County.
Right.
I've been to a lot of cities. I grew up in Baldwin County. I now live in Mobile County. I've been to a lot of different cities, traveling, doing different things.
Right.
And they have some really, really awesome streetscapes. They have some really awesome venues. They have some really awesome nightlife. What can we do, or what can you do as the next mayor to bring more people and keep the dollars here in our city?
Well, first of all, thank you, because you're in a minority as far as people moving from Baldwin County to Mobile County.
When they asked me why did you do that, and I said, well, because I'm kind of like a carpetbagger. Things are a little cheaper over here, so I was able to buy a lot more land for a little less money. And but I'd love to have stayed in Baldwin County. Yeah, it's just getting very expensive over there, and I think that it's really separated by the bay, and there's the same ground basically. Right. Why is it so much more expensive in Baldwin County? Because of the demand. How can we make the city of Mobile this beacon for the coast?
Excellent question. So we have to build up that value here in Mobile County, just like Baldwin County. Baldwin County's done a fantastic job. Great leaders. I could be here all day talking about it. But they really are apples and oranges in terms of, Mobile is being considered an urban city. And with the urban city comes a lot of problems that a lot of times Baldwin County, some of those country more settings don't necessarily deal with, right? However, we have to create an environment in Mobile where we're business friendly, we thrive and prosper, but that also segues into what Baldwin County has done, where they have created a workforce career development program that is actually paid for by private and public dollars. They have built out over a 45,000 square feet facility, $100 million investment, and they're training their youth in high school today upon graduation to meet the demand of the workforce here in Mobile. So to your greater point, Mobile needs to consider doing those things by working with all the leaders, right? And of course, reducing crime. We have to reduce crime. And my platform, I'll tell you, is safety first, okay? A lot of people are going to say, well, of course he's going to say that. He's the chief of police. But the truth is we've already done, we've reduced crime by stellar numbers. We can continue to do that. But more importantly, everybody that I have ever talked to about why they move or shop in Baldwin County invariably comes down to two things, Joey. It comes down to crime and, even worse, the perception of crime. And perception can be just as important, if not more important, than the data of crime, because people's perception is their reality. It's not true, but it's their reality. And Baldwin County, while it has its issues, they don't have the challenges that we have in Mobile. And that's why, for me, as the mayor, it is very important to work with all of our legislators, county and local government officials to become a force multiplier with Montgomery to get our fair share of dollars so we can do things such as career development, so we can put more police officers and firemen in the field, okay? And I'll just segue real quick and say that, I don't want to forget about our public works folks, right? Because here's the deal. Government's primary responsibility to the people, while vision is great, while economic growth is great, the private market will self-correct on those things. If we will do what we are fundamentally called to do, and that is to provide public safety, police and fire, and take care of our public infrastructure with public conveniences, including our public works people, and ensure that it's thriving, that people want to come here. It's not a one singular issue, it's multiple issues, but we need a mayor that understands the big picture and that can come in and bring the right people to the table, such as people like you, right? Paul Prine can't tell you about construction or permitting, but Paul Prine is smart enough to say, hey, bring those people to the table that have the expertise and let them solve the problems of today and tomorrow, the challenges of Mobile.
Yeah, I think that really Mobile has been driven by such large business that have engineers on staff and architects on staff and things like that, and they can get some things pushed through, or they can not live here but invest dollars here. And so I just think that having it more like some of these bigger cities and more friendly, more inviting, more venue spaces would really change the perception. And then, like you were saying, giving people something to do, some tangible skills that they can take and go into the workforce. If you have people that are working 12, 14 hours a day, they're too tired to do any shenanigans, right?
Listen, great point, which is the whole point of my career development. So my 3 platforms is safety first. I've done it, we can do it, and I'm the only guy that can fix it that's running for mayor right now. The second part of that is career development. We can talk about a whole lot of different issues and what crime is and what contributes to crime, but I think most people will understand that crime is a poverty issue more than it is anything. So if we will address the needs of our community and develop our children, everybody's not going to go to college, and a lot of kids.
I didn't go to college. I tried it for a few weeks, and I was like,
yeah, but it didn't stop you.
No,
look
that's
how
right.
successful you are. But you had that determination, that self-motivation to be able to get out there and do it. There's a lot of our children, okay, that come from generations of poverty, and we're not going to save all of them, but there's a lot of them that don't want to go in the military. So Paul Prine's solution is let's mirror it. Now, we can't do exactly what Baldwin County is doing because Mobile's arguably the largest school system in the state, but there is no reason we're not preparing our young men and women for the workforce that pay $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year, more money than their grandparents probably ever made, and preparing those kids to be able to get into the workforce. And not only that, Joey, but we can work with the 2-year colleges to use those same facilities and they not miss a beat and not miss out on their dollars for being able to train those adults that's already graduated.
So when I look around the city, like at Langen Park,
right,
I see a lot of deferred maintenance. Langan Park as a kid, we used to go there and see the ducks. Heck, that was the first time a duck ever chased me.
Right.
And there were always people there having picnics and
Sure.
birthday parties and things like
Right.
that. How can we make our parks in Mobile, the city of Mobile, great again? I mean, we're spending a lot of money on golf courses. We're spending a lot of money on different things.
Right.
And how can we really just bring it back home so that it's free to go to,
Right.
but it really beautifies our city?
Right. So it gets back to what I said a while ago. Local government's primary responsibility really is public convenience and public safety. Public convenience is exactly that. We spend all this money paving the roads to Ziegler Boulevard that lead into Langan Park. We spend all this money developing the park over the years, and you're right, we don't do a good job at it. But that's where the fundamentals of government comes in handy, and we should refocus and redirect where our efforts are to ensure that every park in Mobile,
Yeah.
if we're going to have a park, put it on a maintenance plan and stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes to equipping the city workers and those things and having what they need
That's right.
to perform the job. And,
Absolutely.
the spillways broke over there. It looks
That's
like,
right. That's right.
And so how will you work with county commissioners as well to make sure that the same things that again, I'm new to this political
Sure.
deal, but how the city and the county can work together to make it great as a whole?
So,
I mean, that
compromise.
does happen, right?
It does happen,
Okay.
but not as often here in South Alabama. I think as you get into this and you understand, especially in the political world, you'll find out South Alabama does not get the tax dollars from the state, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree with that the middle part or northern part of the state get. I would argue that primarily it's because of the demographic and the party makeup of the political parties at the county and the state level here in Mobile. While that is challenging, it is a great opportunity and unique for us to come together and show the world. We can't change the world, we can't change the state. We can change Mobile. The problem is I don't think there's strong leadership enough to bring everybody to the table and say, listen, here's the challenges. How do we work on it? Paul Prine can't do anything with the school system, but he can partner with all the leaders, including the school board commissioners, and say, listen, this is of whatever the issues are. We are all more alike than we are different, okay? Saying that to say this, compromise is this. If Joey goes and buys him a car, Joey's not going to get that car for exactly what he wants, and the dealership is going to have to take a little loss. So the idea in compromise is we both get a little bit, and we both walk away losing a little bit, but everybody's happy with whatever the outcome should be on the topic.
Yeah, and also in some of the political upheaval that's happened in the rest of the country, it doesn't seem to really affect Mobile, Mobile County, Baldwin County, the city of Mobile, as much as it does other places. How will you continue to keep that same cohesiveness that we have between, they tried some stuff back in 2019 and it was shut down. And, but it really seems that like some of the same woes that happen in the rest of the country doesn't happen here.
Listen, that's why it's important that leadership is led by character and integrity and people doing the right thing, even if it costs them something. And at the end of the day, leaders have a responsibility to protect its people, to protect its citizens at all costs against any issues that's going to create chaos, confusion, property damage, or worse injury.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to add? I really appreciate you coming out.
Well, Joey, I just appreciate the time to come and talk with you.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with your facility.
Thank you.
And I'll certainly tell you this, Paul Prine's platform is succinct and it's easy to digest. Safety first. Our people have to be protected. We have to shop here to spend our tax dollars here. The second part of that is we have to develop out the workforce or career development for our young folks that really don't have a lot of opportunity and get them out of their economic situation. And the third part, and it's really convoluted, or it can be, but in simple terms, continue that economic growth and prosperity with an emphasis on good governance, making Mobile business friendly, and trying to address the homelessness through enforcement and certainly support that addresses drug addiction and veteran recovery, which is really important to me.
And we really, talking about homelessness, we really have got to get the homeless population a place and an opportunity to work. But we also got to get people to stop sending them over here and importing their homeless. Like, I have sympathy and compassion on people that are homeless,
absolutely.
and there's a huge mental illness crisis, and we got veterans that are homeless. That should never be. But really, there's got to be something that we can do to help with that and empower them.
So to your greater point, and I'll make it brief, a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, the Alabama Supreme Court struck down virtually every vagrancy law that law enforcement had as a tool to be able to deal with the homeless, right? But before we get to enforcement, and it doesn't seem like we're doing a lot today, but before we even get to enforcement, we have to have tax dollars. It takes money to deal with drug addiction, affordable housing, veteran recovery. You're not going to be able to save everyone, right? But we should have those resources in place. There are a lot of great places in Mobile that work and do their part for the homeless, but it's like they work in silos, and we need leadership that brings them together to be able to help those that want help. And unfortunately, for those that don't want the help, there's an enforcement aspect of it. And we can certainly deal with some of these other jurisdictions that bring their homeless population over here, but it takes courage, and it's not a singular issue in terms of that's the mayor's problem. We had that problem here. It should be every county commissioner's problem. It should be the mayor, the council's problem. It should be state legislator problem that are representing Mobile, the city of Mobile, or the county, and coming together. But it's almost as if everybody kind of takes their ball, and if it doesn't directly affect them, they don't want to get involved in it.
Because it's not politically expedient, right?
It's not.
It could be political suicide. Or
well,
it could
that's exactly right. And let me just say this, if I may, just another moment or two, please. So every candidate's going to tell you why they're the best mayor candidate, right? So what I have found is you take people, and this is not a disparaging remark, we got some really great people in this race, but sometimes I think we've been in politics too long where we don't give people a direct answer because it's not expedient for us. It may create some hiccups or problems for, especially when it gets to heavy donors, right? You also have those newcomers that don't know anybody, and they're going to come out of the gate and they're going to tell you what they're going to do, but you won't know after you vote for them till 2 to 4 years down the road as to whether or not you made a really good decision. I will tell you, a vote for Paul Prine is a vote that says, hey, this is a guy that at a cost to him did the right thing, and it cost him something. And that is the same Paul Prine that the citizens of Mobile will get if they would vote me into office. I would consider it an honor and certainly a privilege, and I certainly would not change that perspective going forward.
Well, I look forward to seeing how the race turns out.
Right.
I think we have some other candidates we're going to interview as well. And so how cool is it that we're in the middle of a cow pasture in a processing facility in our retail store interviewing people, and in a million years I'd never have thought that this would be like this, and it's really a fun experience.
Well, Joey, that's really to your credit. I mean, you're out here in the country. I could have swore I heard banjos when I came here, but the truth is, it's really to your credit to have this kind of success and be diversified, and it really shows the depth in Joey Mason that he can also run a podcast or interview political candidates, for office. And so that really is to your credit, and I'm grateful and humbled that you gave me an opportunity.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys, if y'all made it to the end of this video, it means a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Please hit the bell for notifications, like, subscribe, follow. You can check out all of our current events on our webpage and our social media. You can sign up on our newsletter. Any way that you can get involved, we'd love to have you as we bring Farm to Table to reality. Thank you again. Have a good day.